Hi everybody. In today's video, we're going to be having a look at example 001. And so in this example, we're going to have a look at how we can transform this engineering drawing into a 3D model using Creo Parametric. Now, this example, we're going to primarily just be using the extrude command. So this whole shape can be made just using extrusion to add or remove material. The first thing we need to do is start Creo Parametric. So go to Start button, and then we just need to scroll down to P, click on PTC, and select Creo Parametric. Okay, so we've got Creo Parametric loaded up. And the first thing that we need to do is select our working directory. So make sure that all our files are saved where we'd like them to be. So we're going to go select working directory. I've created a folder on the desktop that I'm going to use, and I'm just going to click OK. So anything that I generate now will be saved in this location. So to start a new part, we click New. It's on part, so that's fine. Type in a name. So we've got EX001 and need to untick the default template. And click OK. And then we just use to select our units. So we'll click millimeters and OK. Okay, so I'm just going to change the display. So if we go to data and display filters, I'm going to unselect everything and then just show the planes. So now we need to start our first extrusion. So we'll start the extrude by choosing the front data plane. So we can do that in the model tree and then click extrude. Now we're going to create a sketch to define an outer rectangle. So we're going to generate a 300 millimeter by 400 millimeter rectangle on our sketched plane. So to do this, we're going to use the rectangle tool. So we're going to click the little drop down menu here and click center rectangle. You see the cursor's changed, and I'm going to snap my cursor to the middle of the screen. So you can see it snaps to the middle, and then just left click once, drag out the cursor. I don't want this to be square, so I'm going to avoid the perpendicular symbol and just drag this out and then left click again. We'll press the middle mouse button to exit the rectangle tool. And now we need to change our dimensions. So we need the height to be 300. So just double click on that dimension, click 300, press enter. And we can change the width to 400. Okay, so now we have the rectangle how we'd like it to be. We can refit the screen so the sketch fits a little bit better to our available space. And once we're happy, we'll just click OK. So now we need to complete the extrude that defines the height of our component. And what we need to do is set this to 20. So we can make the changes here, or we can use the ribbon tool along the top. I'm just going to use the ribbon tool and change the 350 to 20. If I press enter, you can see it automatically updates on screen, and I'm happy with my extrusion, so I'm going to click OK. Now's a good time for us to save. So we're just going to click the save button here, and you can see that as we set the working directory, it's going to save our file in that folder. We just click OK. So now we're going to extrude the top cutouts. So we're going to use the same techniques we just used, but this time we're going to use it to remove some material. So the first thing that we need to do is click on this top surface. So you see that it highlights it green, and then I'm going to click extrude again. This time, however, I'm going to change the view so that we're in 2D mode. So we're going to click sketch view. And now we're going to start adding some of the geometry that we'd like to cut away. So I need to cut out a circle from this top right hand corner. So I'm just going to use the center and point tool. I'm going to move the cursor to the right-hand side of the rectangle into this top corner and click, and then drag this circle out and click again. Now to deselect the circle tool, I just press the middle mouse button, and you can see that we've got a circle now. And we need to change this diameter to 250. So if I double click, type 250, and press enter. Okay, so that cutout's really straightforward. Now we need to sketch a triangular cutout on this top left-hand corner. So to do this, I'm going to use the line tool. So if I click line here, now what I'm going to do is click on the top left-hand corner of the rectangle. You see that the line follows my cursor. So I'm just going to follow this top edge, making sure I don't snap to anything, and then left click again. And I'm going to come down to this left-hand edge. I'm going to snap to this edge. Don't snap to the middle there, but just snap. Press the left mouse button. And then we need to complete this triangle by bringing our cursor to the top left-hand corner and clicking. And to accept this and to exit the line tool, I just press the middle mouse button. Okay, so if I press the middle mouse button again, I'll deselect the line tool, and you'll see that we've got these two shaded areas. Now, I need to dimension this up correctly. So at the minute, it's giving me a line along the dimension along the horizontal and an angle. I actually want a horizontal and a vertical dimension. So I need to add a new dimension. So to do this, I'll go dimension tool. So just click the dimension tool. And then if I want to add a dimension for this vertical line, I'm just going to click it and then move my mouse out a little bit and press the middle mouse button. And you can see we've removed the angle, and this triangle is now defined by a horizontal and vertical. So we need to change these dimensions. So this horizontal component on the top should be 58. And we need to change this vertical component to 100. Okay. So I'm happy with my sketch, and I'm just going to click OK. Now, if I rotate the screen, what we need to do now is define the extrude direction and set it to remove material. So by default, Creo will try to add the material to the component. And what we're going to do is flip it. So if I have a look in the top ribbon, I'm just going to go flip the direction, still trying to add the material. So we can click remove material here. And you can see it's specified a depth, but we're going to change that. So if we change the depth to through all, that just means however thick our component is, it will always go all the way through that. And so when we're happy, we click OK. Let's press Ctrl D to reset our screen. And we'll just do a quick save. Okay, so it's just automatically saving the part now. So now we're going to extrude the bottom cutout. So again, we're going to select this top surface. And we're going to press extrude. So let's change the sketch view again. And so now we've got the sketch tab open. We're going to begin by sketching a rectangle. This time we're going to use a different rectangle tool. So we're going to use the corner rectangle. And we're going to click in the bottom left-hand corner. We're just going to drag out a rectangle, making sure we don't snap to anything or create any constraints. So just click here and press the middle mouse button. Now we're going to dimension this. So the height should be 100 and the width should be 75. Now we need to sketch a circular cutout. So we're going to change the tool. So we're going to use the center and point tool. I'm going to click on this bottom right-hand corner of our sketched rectangle and then drag this out, making sure we don't snap to anything, and press the middle mouse button. And we need to dimension this, so we're going to change this to 150. Okay. So we've got the outline of the shape that we need, but at the minute it's not shaded in, so it won't extrude. So to do that, we need to delete the internal lines from this sketch. So extrusion will only work when there is a single continuous boundary within our sketch. So Creo shows us this by shading in the area. So the fact that this isn't shaded shows me that it's not going to extrude. So we're going to trim our unwanted sketch lines. So we're going to select the delete segment tool. And we can just click on those lines that we don't need. So we don't need this line, or this line. And then we can just press the middle mouse button. And you can see we've now got a shaded area. So that will now be extruded. We click OK and rotate our screen. You can see again, it's trying to add the material. So what we need to do is define the direction and set to remove material. So again, I'm going to flip and click remove material. And we'll change it again to through all. And we can click OK. So we're there, we've got the basic outline for a shape now. Now we need to add some internal features. So we need to extrude our internal rectangle. We're going to follow the exact same steps as what we've done previously. So go Ctrl D, and then we're going to select this top surface, click extrude, and go sketch view. So we're going to use the corner rectangle tool, and we're going to start by clicking not quite in the corner, in the bottom right hand corner. We'll come in a little bit, click, and then move our rectangle. Click, and then press the middle mouse button. Okay, so now what we need to do is change the dimensions of this cutout. So this one here should be 150. So the width and the height should be 80. We need to locate the cutout relative to the original rectangular shape. So we need to add some dimensions here. So it's referencing it to these midlines, to the datum planes. However, we want to reference it to these edges. So we can do that. If we click the dimension tool, I'm going to add a dimension from this line to this line. So if I click this line, click the edge, and press the middle mouse button here, see we've got a new dimension there. Press the middle mouse button to confirm it. We've done that. And then we just type 25, press enter. Now we're going to add a dimension to the vertical location of the rectangle. So we're going to click this line here, and then the bottom line, and press the middle mouse button there. And this one should be 35. Okay, so we've dimensioned it up and we've positioned our rectangle. So I'm going to click OK. And again, we can see it's trying to add the material. And so we're going to flip the direction. You can see, okay, it's automatically recognized now that we should remove this material. And we'll change this to through all. And we'll click OK. So we've now got our rectangular cutout. Press Ctrl D. And what we're going to do now is add some rounds to these internal corners. So if I click the round tool from the engineering tab, what we're going to do is change this setting to 3mm. And what we need to do is select all the internal corners now. So if I select this corner here, I'll just zoom in there. See that it's added a radius to that. Now, if I want to select all of the corners, what I can do is just rotate the screen, press Ctrl, select the other corner, rotate the screen again, press Ctrl, select the corner, and our final one, press Ctrl, select. Okay, so they're all actually linked now. So if you do change this, you can see that they're all linked and they all become the same. I'll just change that back to 3. And so I'm happy with that. Click OK. Again, we'll just make sure that we've saved. So we'll go Ctrl D, just save that. Now what we need to do is add the whole pattern. So there's a whole pattern on this section of our component. And we're going to use the same steps again. So we're going to use extrusion. So we're just going to click this surface, click extrude, and then go to sketch view. Now we're going to activate construction mode. So construction mode works with all sketching tools. This mode allows you to generate sketch entities that can maintain positions, but will be ignored by the parametric operations like extrusion and revolution. So construction mode is a very powerful tool for organizing your sketches and maintaining design intent. So with the construction mode active, so we're going to activate that now, all of the sketching tools can be used with in construction mode. Okay. But we're going to use the center and point circle. And we're just going to add a circle in this quadrant of our rectangle. I'm just going to click the center, drag it out, and then click again. And we'll press the middle mouse button there to exit the circle tool. So we need to change the diameter of this should be 70, but it's given it as a radius, so we'll just change this to 35. Okay. And we should note that the construction lines are represented as dash lines. And if we wanted to, we can convert construction lines into geometry lines quite easily. So if you click it, you'll see that this dialog box comes up and we can convert it to a solid line just there. You can convert solid lines into construction lines via the same method. Okay. Now what we need to do is locate the construction line relative to the original rectangle. So we're going to use the dimension tool. And what we're going to do is first position it horizontally. So if I click the center point and then click this edge, and then press the middle mouse button, we can add a dimension from that edge. So this one should be 100. And now our final one needs to be from the bottom edge to the center point. So I'm just going to click the center, click the bottom, press the middle mouse button there. Okay, and this height should be 200. Okay. Just press the middle mouse button again to exit the dimension tool. And we need to exit construction mode as well. So we're going to add our whole cutouts now. So we exit construction mode. So now when we use the sketching tools, we're going to generate solid lines. And we're going to click the center and point circle. Click that here and drag that out. Okay, so we're just going to create our first circle. And we need to add one at each of the segments of this circle. So we're going to click here. And if I drag this out, you'll see that I get a little equals sign. So that means that the diameter equals our original circle. So we want them all to be the same. So I may as well accept that. We'll do that for the final one here and here. Now if I press the middle mouse button to close the circle tool, you'll see that we've got our dimensions here. So we need to set this diameter to 20 and that will update all of them. Okay. So we click OK. And again, we can see it's trying to add the material and we'll just flip this direction. Okay, so it's automatically detected that it should be removed and we'll change this to through all. And we click OK. So now we can just change the view a little bit. So if I click on here, we'll change it shading with edges and we can hide all of this, hide the center coordinate system. And so now we've actually completed example 1. So this is primarily just using the extrusion tool.